So we have RA1 across the highway, there's no development going on because sewage is the issue. And so,
Well, what about on lots larger than that, say like a 10-acre lot?
a 10 acre,
And a
so,
secondary structure of 5 acres for the front and 5 acres for the back with
so
a...
we have some in the town that are bigger than the 5 acres that are 10 acres, and they've just developed them. This is the primary structure on this acreage, so they basically did a subdivision of their own
Subdivision.
property
Yeah.
and built the primary on each one.
If we're gonna require them to do a subdivision, won't they say, we don't really care about low income and get the
Well-
maximum return on their investment that they can?
Or.
I mean, it's kind of an oxymoron, any way you look at this. This is kind of, no matter what direction you take this, there's gonna be, well, we can't because of this, and if we change that, then that will preclude this, and by the time we get all through with it, I don't know, I don't see us as being able to comply with the 11, was it numbers that, the low,
I think it's 6.
6?
Okay.
Well,
So Salt Lake's done that, and there's a company that's got a demo unit down at City Creek. And it's got everybody excited, they only want $100,000 for one. But it's really just a little bit wider than a trailer. And I think you could end up with a house and a manufactured home, so it'd be like a house and a trailer. And so I think separate is kind of a slippery slope at this point. But I'd like to see the accessories stay, because once my kids take over my house, I need someplace to live.
Now, that's a valid thought.
Well, and we do allow the accessory residential unit in the main structure.
Right.
Okay,
So it can't be separate, it is within the main structure.
so we leave it, we move on.
agreed.
It's in the main structure, and it has to be a family member that lives in it, right?
Has to be family.
Yeah.
And you can bring it up to your kids that they can't charge you rent.
Will that qualify?
Will they claim me that I'm a family member for rent?
No, will that qualify for low income?
It would definitely take part of the, I guess, the population percentage on that would affect that. Would affect probably our 6 number. Based on our low-income plan that we did was based on so many residents. Yeah, will they claim you and will they move in?
Yeah.
Okay, telephone relay towers, microwave and others. We talked about that as with more and more residents fill in. Those are the kind of things that we need.
Did we keep that as conditional, or did we move it over to,
I think we kept that as
Conditional.
conditional.
I thought we moved that over in the 160, that was
2A permitted.
permitted, yes. I can't be sure, but
I thought we left it conditional, so we could set the conditions on it.
Height,
whatever we did,
I left my adults home. so-
whatever we did for that, we should duplicate here.
I kind of halfway think that a lot of our town has enough high ground out of the residential areas to put these kind of things on. that
yeah,
would
but that's
be-
not what they did. They put it right in the middle of everybody. You look at the one by the airport, of all places to put one, right by the airport, they just built
Big old tall one.
a big old tall one right there.
But, yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking,
It's too bad it wasn't taller than it is.
yeah,
Might catch that helicopter that.
yeah.
Yeah, the night flyer.
Yeah, I can't believe where they put that one, so I was looking for my copy of the other.
I think we could move on to the electric transmission one and scratch that one. you know?
I
Okay,
don't remember my notes moving it over.
can't remember, so we may have to circle back around once we get
We
that.
might do community.
When Ryan builds that sheet,
No,
he'll
I want
compare
that.
everything, it'll probably make it line
One,
up,
two out of there.
or it won't, so. Electrical transmission right-of-ways,
Why do we want that?
over 35.
We don't want that.
I've seen them and go through my hometown and it's disgusting. In my opinion.
Can we scratch that? Does anybody
I'd say scratch it.
Let's scratch that.
Okay, so you don't want that as a conditional use, okay?
Which one we taking out?
4811.
No, because pretty soon
The
they'll move it
electronics
over here because Heber doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay,
The same thing with the substation.
Electric substations?
We don't want
They would kinda go
we don't want
together, wouldn't they?
substations, yeah.
No, we need to have substations,
You think?
yes. As the town grows and we hit the
But
max.
do we need it in the RA5 or does it need to go in the commercial or?
That could go in the-
industrial?
It could go in them
That
other
could go in the
zones.
commercial.
It goes where the building is gonna take place. There's no way to transmit power long distances after it's gone through the substation. It comes to the substation and gets broken down, and then it gets distributed out to the neighborhoods.
Right, but where's the substation that we're running off of now?
When it
It's the
when it
jailhouse
reaches-
sub.
When it reaches capacity, they will need another substation at the point where the growth is taking place.
So it's at the jailhouse sub now, it's across the highway over there on Fort.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Behind the search and rescue building and
Yeah.
all that.
And so everything out of there is.
So what I'm saying, if they then build a new one, it could go in the commercial or industrial zone and we'd be close enough.
That would be.
It would be great if they clustered it on Fort.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
So, because that way, as you move up, you can go, I mean, the one that's there now is going two directions, but there's not that much if they come south on 40. They don't have as much to go east on.
Yeah, there's phenomenal growth coming east, up behind that.
Yeah. So that one will get overloaded by
That's my point.
Independence, but it just depends where we put the next one. So if it was in the commercial zone, that would cluster it.
Sandy City tried to do exactly the same thing. Sandy City tried to eliminate subdivisions by statute. And they got to the point where the power company said, we're done, we can't provide you any more electricity. And then it became a real political
Did you say
issue.
subdivisions or substations?
Sandy City got to the point where there was no more electricity for any new growth.
Because they were eliminating substations.
Because they
Okay.
statutorily eliminated substations. And substations were necessary for any new growth, and so Sandy City wanted the growth, but because they had a statute that said we are not allowing any substations, they got to the point where all growth was put on moratorium until the power company could give them more electricity. And the power company couldn't do that because of the city and outlawing any substations. Nobody wants to look at a substation.
So I'm not suggesting we outlaw substations. I'm suggesting that it stays in commercial or industrial zone. If that still makes sense to put it in the middle, then they come and get a rezone, so they can put a substation there and we have a little more control.
I think we allowed it in the 160, and if the power company were looking at it and saying, we could pick up some property in the 160, that's where it would go. They would not pay the extra money if they didn't have to. So if we do this,
Yeah,
it
but
needs.
they'd have to buy 160 acres in the 160,
No, it wouldn't.
unless it's already subdivided.
Well, that's not the way we left it.
It
The
was-
way we left it was, I believe, a conditional use in the 160.
Right, so doesn't that
Whatever
just
we
mean
do,
move it?
my point is, whatever we do, we need to be consistent to avoid the problems down the road. And I think that transmission stations are in fact, or not, excuse me, substations, I misspoke. I think that substations are something the planning commission needs to plan for. I don't think that we're able to say, we will never have a need for another substation. I think that's folly.
I think that we ought to put them in commercial or industrial.
I
Keep
think
them out
we
of
have.
RA5.
And I feel like we have enough commercial and industrial property already set aside that would be able to cover.
Well, if
this-
that
the
doesn't
footprint
work
of
for Hidden
Daniels.
Light, they're gonna tell us. I mean, we'll have a discussion.
Well, like
about
I'm
this.
saying, at that point, it may be a piece has to be rezoned.
Yeah,
The substation, I'm
exactly.
just saying, it gives the town more control over it and more discussion. It's not that we're going to stop it, we're going to make sure that it happens in the
Pick a
right place.
decent spot for it.
So what we're looking at is what we want to look at.
So,
So take it
So
out.
my thought is take it out and make sure it's in the others, in the industrial and the commercial.
Okay?
4814 out.
Did we ever take out or add 4712? We kind of, I kind of maybe pushed it away, but we didn't catch that.
Yeah, we talked about the one down at Heber.
Did we decide to keep it or leave it?
I don't think we answered.
'Cause I kind of feel the same way about them, as that we could put them in the industrial and commercial, and up on the mountainsides or in the trees and stuff, and disguise them possibly.
So 160 in commercial and industrial?
Maybe, I'm trying to think what the limits are, there's some other pretty strict limits on the,
There must be, because they're sticking right in town.
Yeah.
See them right in town.
no, but I'm saying
There's
in our
one,
code,
there's one on top of Chicks. I mean,
Yeah, there's one right there by the airplane.
yeah.
They're a great source of income for a property owner too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind one in my backyard for that reason, but
Yeah.
I don't want it to be there either on the other
It's
hand.
up your TV.
If I remember right, the code makes that pretty tough.
To have it
It's kind of
in,
like
in a residential area.
county wrote it, so there has to be on county property, so the county gets the revenue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if I remember, and that's what our code says too, if I remember right.
Really?
But I could be totally off base, I
So
don't
we
know.
might be safe there, but we don't know, so we put a question mark by it.
So if you're curious, go look at the section on cell phone towers.
Okay.
Okay.
But we did take out 48, 14.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it in the commercial and industrial, make sure
So
that's
we're
there.
leaving the gas thing?
Haven't gotten there yet.
Gas pressure control station,
Should not be anywhere in Daniel.
there's one
We don't
right
have
across.
that anywhere, do we?
No,
Isn't there one right across the highway? Right by those antennas by Chip's yard?
I'm not familiar, I don't know.
There is one there, there's one,
There's
right
one right
on
outside
the
the town.
Walgreens. Yep.
Is it a pressure control or is it a valve?
I think
They
it's
do
pressure.
all of that there.
What's that?
They do all of that there. They have valves and pressure control stations.
And that is in Daniel?
Not in Daniels, there's several around the valley.
I don't think we should have them in Daniel.
No, I think we're okay. There's another one down. As you turn up towards Camas.
Yep.
Yeah,
So we're scratching.
that's a
We're
brand new
scratching
one.
Unless anybody has some.
That's a brand new one. And then the other one I think is,
They could end up
I'm
in
not
the
sure what it
industrial
is, but
and
it's in that
commercial
little
zones
building
also.
by Taco Time,
Yep,
in that little building
I
there.
think that's when you said Smith's, but yeah, right next to
Yeah.
Taco Time.
Yeah. Yeah, one there too.
Water storage?
Water storage,
So 4824 is out?
Out.
yes. Water storage, we better leave that.
Yep, can we
We
put
don't
something,
need that.
can we put something that they're underground or not above ground tanks?
Good.
So they're not, at least a water tower, we don't at least have.
Well, I want a water tower next to my railroad tracks.
What are you gonna hang the microwave tower on?
And the cell phone towers? Okay.
Water pressure control station and pumping stations. We already have those.
They're okay.
Sewer pumping station, pressure control stations. I think that may come to play later on.
Yep.
Combination utility right-of-ways, petroleum pipeline right-of-way underground.
No.
I would cut that one.
Okay,
I'm good with that.
4911 out. Cemetery mausoleum,
What's the exception in 6243? Anybody look at that? Or have a way to see it?
that's in
Which
my,
one?
that's in my other book, I don't have that with me.
I don't know
I
what that
think
is.
what that does is eliminates private.
The private cemetery or mausoleum?
Yeah, and what the trend is right now is cities are going to private and making them bond with the city. So the city's actually fronting the bond and letting private individuals run the cemeteries.
Oh,
And so that's the route that they're going right now. Highland's done that. I don't know if Cedar Hills did that yet or not, but that's,
Okay, when you said private cemeteries, I'm thinking, okay, we've got one with 3 lots here and one on this.
yeah,
family cemetery.
that's really what people want. Okay,
I think what people want is if they could actually bury their loved ones in the backyard, they'd do it.
that's what I mean, that's what they
That's a
want.
private cemetery.
Yeah, as long as you didn't have to mark the grave, and you could still find hay.
And it still qualified for the side yard.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper too, to start with.
So we're okay with that?
I think we're okay.
Boston Sea, it's easier.
There has been quite a bit of interest in this town getting a cemetery, they said, so. I told them that we have one, they're just not marked.
So that one's staying?
It is staying.
Okay.
Nursery, primary, and secondary education. So again, under state law, I think we're pretty much,
We have to have that.
definitely on the primary and secondary. Religious activities, again, under state law.
Oh, darn, I was gonna say strike it, I'll have more time on something.
Botanical gardens and arboretoriums,
Sure, let somebody build one of those.
okay.
Do them kind of fall underneath the agricultural use?
I guess they could, but depending on what they're doing, if they're doing commercial.
Come on, we got 30 seconds, let's get through this.
Okay.
Recreation activities, non-commercial, so we just had one apply for that. Well, it's more of a, it's not recreational, it's really therapeutic. Recreational activities.
I don't know what that means.
But is it non-commercial?
Right.
That means
Applied
it-
for.
Who applied for it?
Tyler Jacobson's house, I forget her name, the one that bought
Oh, Richter?
it. Yeah,
I'm not referencing, say again,
it's on the corner of Big Hollow Road and 3000 South.
what are they doing?
They're having horse therapy. So they have 2 horses there, and they're bringing in kids to work with these horses.
Tyler Jacobson's old house? Is
Yes.
that the one?
So they're doing that to, it's not for the horses itself, it's for
It's for,
Yeah.
for humans.
yeah,
They're using horses for therapy.
Right.
For the humans.
Is it inmate therapy?
halfway, half house.
Yeah. I saw that at the prison, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, so recreational activities, you okay?
I think as long as it's
As
non-commercial.
long as it's not commercial, okay. Sleigh ride, wagon ride, farm experience activities, I think that fits in with the RA5.
And I'd wanna add non-commercial again to that.
You wanna add non-commercial?
Yeah, I would, because otherwise you're putting the business into the RA5.
Haunted forests and corn mazes and stuff like that, I think could, is that what you kind of thinking could happen with that?
Could.
Or even more like,
Mm-hmm.
something like Culver too, possibly in Midway. Or have done, I don't know if they're still doing it.
The greenhouses?
Yeah.
Well,
I
they've
don't know.
kind of done, like, in Halloween, they've done sleigh ride, or wagon rides and stuff like that, and that kind of is commercial on their part, it seems like.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure I'm against doing that, but I hate to say, well, this business is okay, but none of these others are. And so I think it would be better to just say it's non-commercial, so we don't have somebody.
I would be totally against the Halloween activities. The amount of traffic that brings,
Yeah.
it completely decimates a neighborhood. Doesn't matter where you are, how big a street there is. The Halloween activities always turn into huge traffic jams. And then people get out of their cars and leave them, and you can't even drive down the road because there's parked cars there. They end up being towed away.
So do we, right,
So would non-commercial
Non-commercial.
deal with that, you think?
non-for-profit, and then they have a donation box.
There used to be a steam train ride out in Midway, and he was
Oh, yeah,
charging
yeah.
admission or charging a ticket price for it, and the commercial thing came up with him, and he, instead of charging admission, he put a can up on the wall and said donations. So I don't know that commercial would do away with that. I think it would go a long ways towards that, but if any savvy Halloween operator did that, we wouldn't have anywhere to go with it. Commercial, yes, they can't say, well, it'll cost you $5 to get in. And they say, just make a donation of whatever you feel
Why
like.
don't we just scratch it out then?
fine, just scratch it out.
Yeah, let's just scratch it.
Scratch it. Okay. Indoor arenas, non-commercial?
I'm okay with that.
I think we should leave
We've already approved one, basically.
Yeah.
Half court.
I would suggest we put a size limitation on that.
We already have size limitations.
Yeah, anything over 1,500 square foot pushes it into a conditional use.
Oh, okay.
A person has a right to put on their property what they have decided to do, to a certain extent, and once it becomes big enough, then it affects the entire community.
Yeah.
And if they want to put a small indoor arena, I don't think that's a problem, but if it gets to be to where
Well,
it's,
1,500 square feet, that's pretty small.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
You can't even get a horse in there.
Yeah, we've
Don't
had,
even
we've had
cover
shops
tennis court, I
built
don't
that have
think.
had to fall in that. Sports court we just did, Joe Witt put in a half court basketball, and that one was over 1,500 yet, so conditional use.
Okay, so 1,500 is the rule.
I can turn my floorboards around with my app,
Yeah, it's just one turn. Had to go out gate the other
it
end.
goes fast, but it takes a long time.
So we're okay?
Okay. Animal kennels, boarding and grooming.
I'd rather see that one go away entirely, but
I
I'm
agree.
probably gonna be outvoted.
I live next to that. That was bad.
Yeah, I don't think that we should allow those.
2 for out?
So the ones that are already on a continued use are still be able to keep their continued use, or not?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, if you read that code of what we're looking at tonight, 822, it speaks to those.
If anything should be, if we're going to retain it, and if anything should be required commercial zone, that's one. They should not be
Yeah,
allowed
yeah.
in residential zones.
I say we just scratch it.
I would say so too.
So what about boarding horses? So you rent your pasture, someone to put 3 horses there.
Is it,
Did we just eliminate that?
Well, if you're
I'm
in
sure
your
that's,
RA5,
I'm sure
it
that's
should
going on
cover
somewhere,
that.
right?
it's going on all over the place.
It is. And I'm not sure it's bad, I'm just
Well,
saying.
I gotta be honest, the only thing that bothered me was the barking 24 hours
Exactly.
a day. So, I mean, kennels,
Well, if you ask me, you're about 5 years too late.
are we?
Yeah.
No.
You've got a couple of them now that
I
shouldn't.
can tell you that we have.
Dog kennels?
We have interest right now.
Interest right now?
Yes.
Okay, let's eliminate that one.
So did we come to a conclusion on the horse?
Horses?
That's fine.
Okay?
We'll call that an agricultural activity.
Horses?
Okay.
So horses are okay?
Cows.
I think horses, yeah, horses.
We don't want an
If you
agricultural
rent-
zone
If
anyway.
you rent your property long-term to someone for about 5 months even, I think that's a little different. Dog boarding.
I agree.
So are we just,
But we need to make sure we move that into commercial so that we at least allow it, or we might.
horse boarding?
No, the animal kennel sporting and grooming.
Commercial and industrial?
Yeah, if it's not there.
I'm sure it's probably not there. So,
Do we have currently, Eric,
what?
dog kennels in commercial zone?
No.
I don't know why we should open that can of worms brand new then. I think that if we're gonna eliminate it, let's eliminate it.
Okay?
Leave it to the existing conditional use, or whatever, however you describe that, the existing use, is that what you call it, existing use?
All right.
I would say leave it to the existing use only. I would not say, let's just take it out of the residential, put it in commercial, because that opens a whole new can of worms. I think if we're gonna eliminate it, let's eliminate it.
Yeah, but it definitely gives them a place to go. So it's like the SLB ordinance, if you don't give them a place to go, then they can apply in any zone. If you have it stated, SLB goes in industrial parking, that's where it goes.
What is SOB?
Sexually oriented business.
I don't know that we're gonna have the same kind of response with that as we would with SOB. I'd say, let's deal with it when we get to that bridge. Let's cross that bridge when we get to it. I'd say let's eliminate it entirely at this moment, with the exception of the existing uses.
We'll talk about when we do commercial.
That's right, we will.
But will we remember?
Yeah, some
I'm
of us.
sure we will.
I'm betting we
You
do.
can remind me.
It won't be me.
Oh, yeah, we talked. Okay, so what's out? All right,
That was painful, or less painful than I thought.
yeah.
Successful.
Okay,
But we're 10 minutes past our deadline.
we went over. Nobody said anything. We just kept rolling. Okay. Planner report, that's me, huh? Lot going on, we've issued a lot of permits. There's a lot of additions and garages and agriculture buildings going on in town. And a lot of interest being shown towards those kind of items, so. The Brady's have, you remember we issued a permit for a garage? That has since expired. They have resubmitted with a brand new application that just came in. So we'll be doing that. Is there any questions? See right there, planning items. Kaylee, conditional use application for a dog boarding facility.
And on that first one, make sure you look at parking.
Well, we're hoping that that has been waylaid by the horse.
Maybe. Because even with just the cars that belong there, they usually have a couple alongside the road, which makes things kind of tight, so
Yeah,
adding more cars might be an issue.
yeah, and she'd come to the council and talk to them and said they had parking alongside the driveway they would open up. And they typically would come in a van. And so there would be, it's pretty low key with just the two horses, so.
Yeah.
But she's requested some goats and some other things too, so.
Well,
Is
we
this
have
the
a
first
problem
item here?
because-
Yes,
because we do have a limit on the number of animals per acre,
right.
but their next door neighbor is far, far beyond that.
Which one?
Mark Luke usually has about 40 head of sheep and
Not a one
5
over there.
horses, and
Not a one over there. They're all out in the pasture.
today,
Where is this that you're talking about?
Big Hollow Road.
Big Hollow Road, 3000 south corner right there.
Oh, okay.
The fairly new house, it's 5 years old or maybe a little more.
Jacobson's.
It faces west. the front door
It's on an
faces-
acre.
Yeah, it's Jacobson's. Sherry Tyler.
So that's the Richter?
Yeah,
Yeah,
They just moved in like a
Yeah.
month or 6
Yeah.
weeks ago or something
but
like
it's,
that.
it's a little under an acre if I remember right. It's not a very big lot.
I think 1.2, I think is what she said. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, but it's got 30 feet into the road.
Yeah. Okay, I think everything else is, unless you have questions on something.
Where's the Hobbs residence too? What's going on there?
So the Hobbs residence, we got clarification from our attorney and we're moving forward with that.
Okay. What about the one,
Same company, owns them both.
because that one has had a lot going on lately, and sometimes till 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And if I can hear it from my house, I wonder about the other neighbors.
Well, and we wish we could get some more complaints because when we get to court, it would be nice to have that as evidence. We're not getting a lot of complaints, so that's gonna be, we have one signed complaint is all we have so far. We have some verbals, but some people don't wanna get involved with it.
Where is it?
So we have the Hobbs house and then we have the Heftel house.
The what?
Heftel house.
Hotels.
They've sold it, and both of those are being rented out, nightly rental.
Heftel's the two-story white one?
No, back to the gravel pit and turn left.
Okay.
A big log house.
So I know that
back there.
Jack Rose uses that road as his driveway. He's not been able to get home a couple of times. But again, he
Really?
hasn't signed a permit, complaint, so. It would be definitely good when we get there to say that we definitely have a problem, but
Do you
That's where
have-
that's at.
Do you have many signed complaints that you get retracted?
Yeah, I've only had two. It's been retracted.
Does it have anything to do with the mafia?
I don't know what it has to do with, but. I'm sure it's not the mafia, they just come see me. Take me out. Okay, any other questions on the planning report? Okay. Let's see, another one. I got two here that came in. Maybe you, Jerry Smith's building a agricultural building behind his place, and Stephanie Grading is putting in a greenhouse. So those two have got ag permits out, both those that came in this week.
So if you think about it, will you send the Simpson plot plan? to-
Simpsons?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd just be curious.
okay,
Do the setbacks apply for ag buildings?
yes.
So you gotta be 30 from the back, 10 from the side.
Okay. All right. Just an update on our lawsuits. Nate Orton has withdrawn, or has petitioned to withdraw his suit, and our other one, we did a federal suit, has gone to court. As far as our attorney asked for clarification of their documentation, and they refused. So now it's back at the court to be dismissed because they won't produce the documents. And let's see how the reader one moves forward.
It's still engaged.
It's engaged, it's getting bigger.
Is there any chance the town recovers fees?
Our attorney says that's slim. And they didn't even want to talk about it to start with because it says it makes the town look aggressive. So where we've actually shown where we lost $22,000 by moving the line, but we did, or we did, but
Which is 10% of our budget.
yeah.
Good argument. Get the attorney off his chair, put him to work.
They've been pretty busy this week. I've had a lot of legal documents come in this week, so.
Still, we shouldn't have to put out if they're gonna do that. If it gets to the point where we can recover, I think the town should try.
Well, and especially on something like that, where it's just so, that one was just crazy.
Well, I think once the court was aware of your total revenues, that they might be receptive to that.
We'll see. We'll see. It got bigger, there was more claims made this last week, so. Oh,
They ought to be able, Eric, to look at it and say, what have we got to lose? On the other hand, if you say, well, if we're gonna go to court, and there is a chance if we lose, we're gonna have to pay all of the court costs, I think people would be more careful. I think it's the same concept as if you put a complaint in writing, we'll go out and look at it. I think the court costs ought to be charged back whenever we can.
and that's the instruction our attorneys have. And so that's why they're doing that 22,000 plus right up front.
It just seems logical to me. And, you know, if we're, oh, Mr. Nice Guy, yeah, let's go ahead and sue him, and if we lose, no big deal.
Right.
I agree with Kim.
The problem is that our government trust has a policy of 50,000. So anything you get up to 50,000 automatically goes back to them, right on the top. So we might get 22,000, but it might go right to the trust, the government trust. They kicked out the 50 grand to start with. But we far exceeded that now. So. But I can't think of a better one to defend than the right of way. Surely. Okay, did everybody have a chance to go over the minutes? Do you have any other questions for me before I move off the plenary report? Okay. Minute approval, did everybody have a chance to review the minutes? Any additions or corrections?
I move we approve the minutes.
Okay, I have a motion, is there a second? Okay, I have a motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote, all in favor? 2? 3?
I wasn't here, I mean, I read them and I.
I wasn't here.
I wasn't here.
Okay, so you got 3, we need 4 for a motion.
Here.
Okay, we got 4. Okay. The minutes are approved. Motion to adjourn.
Can I have like 3 minutes to throw out a few questions and hypotheticals?
You bet.
Um,
You want to do it on the record or off the record?
Probably off the record. Would be, we could adjourn and throw it out later, is that what you're saying?
No, we can't.
Oh. Well, I've had some thoughts and wonders and ways to maybe, I'm not saying I want to squelch the growth in Daniels or anywhere, but is there something that we could do as a planning commission to propose to the council to maybe allow people like the Webbs on their property to change our code? I'll back up, to change our code to allow people like the Webbs that have this nice piece of property that doesn't have 100-foot of frontage, allow them to have a small 20-foot driveway back to their 15-acre and allow one residence on this single acre. So we're not, or on the single acre, on the single 15-acre lot. So we're not allowing mass subdivisions to be able to take over Daniels. Is that some thoughts that we could maybe entertain or try and look at?
Had the same thought, but I also had this thought. If you have one property owner that owns 15 acres, and we go to RA1, who knows what a future council's gonna do, then it's pretty easy for them to subdivide and create 15 lots, and it might be economically feasible. If you've got 3 5-acre lots, it's a lot harder for those 3 to get together and agree, or for one person to now subdivide off other lots and build their roads and facilities. So I kind of think that in the end, although we're getting 3 houses, we're getting 3 houses where possibly 20 years from now, we could have 30 houses, because then it's easier to subdivide. Because it's hard for people to get together and agree on things, and so take advantage of that and let them
It
go down to a
slows
5-acre
down the
lot.
process.
It slows down the process of the growth because people are on the 5-acre lots, they're happy with it. If we can keep the county from taxing people to death so they can afford to keep them, then maybe we can stay rural longer than we do now. That's kind of been my thought.
I think you definitely bought some time with 5-acre.
I'll throw out an experience I had this week. I was in Holiday, on the east side of Salt Lake. You guys are very familiar with Holiday.
Used to be. Can't tell where it starts and ends.
I went down a driveway. It was about 100 yards long and 20 feet wide. I got back to the end of that 100 yards, there was trees growing over the top of it. It looked like it went to one residence. I got back in there and it was probably 30 acres and maybe 3 residents back in there. And it was a private driveway, it had a gate across it, I had to put an access code in to get in there. And I just thought, maybe that's, could have been an answer for some, or it could be an answer in the future. How was that possible? How did that happen? There was actually 2 driveways. There was a fence between the 2 of them and the trees growing and stuff between the 2. One went this direction into its 30 acres and I couldn't see through the trees for what happened on the other.
So what were you driving?
I was delivering a piece of equipment. I was in a semi and it really sucked.
It wasn't good, huh?
I think so. One of our requirements is access for the fire trucks, and the fire marshal has to approve of the access, and I'm guessing that they have a big fire down there, they might wish that they had better access.
Well, it was apparently a code at some point.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be approved, but
No, I've
A
got a friend
20-foot
who lives down there
driveway.
too, the same deal, they've got a baseball, full-size baseball field
yeah,
next to their
there's
house, but.
tennis courts and just like you're saying, all over these places and nobody has a clue from up on foot, looking from 215, you don't see it. Driving down through all the wooded lanes, you don't see that they're there, but the 6200 South, can't remember the name of the street, was just totally grown up with tall, mature trees and houses along there, but behind them, 100 yards back, was somebody's own little private oasis.
I'm kind of glad we have to find codes, we try to stick with them how we can. A lot of times the applicant is not truthful with what the situations are, and sometimes you can make a suggestion which would fast track the whole process, and it's not possible according to the applicant, and then you turn around and find out it's very much possible. So there's been a lot of time wasted between the planning and zoning, the applicant, and I say get the code, stick with it, and try and keep everybody on track as much as possible.
Okay. Fair enough. I like your answers, both of you.
Well, and they had that option too with the 15 acres, they could have put one lot in there. They chose to subdivide it.
Well, they could have put one lot in it, but they still had to get the 50 foot or 100 foot.
100 foot, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
But I'm not saying we pushed them that way, but this is the way
Yeah.
the code's written, it ended up being that way. And I
Right.
respect what's happened here, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm just looking into the future to see what we can do.
But a side note to that was when we became a town, that requirement was 200 feet.
We have
And so-
accommodated,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we dropped it 100 feet. And a lot of times when these applications come, I think we should move it back because, well, that's a hassle.
Yeah, that would squelch some too.
Yeah, because it opened up some of these that weren't ever, that wasn't ever gonna
Yeah,
happen.
made a lot of things.
And so we had a couple of those applicants come in, which is why we have the new road standard of the 3 homes that's unpaved. So we tried to accommodate as these families get older and the kids try and come back and want to be close to, but it's a fine line we walk.
It is, but I think that seeing them divided into the smaller pieces makes it more likely that we'll stay where we're.
Stay closer to where we're at.
Yeah,
I'd
actually,
remember that comment now.
yeah, it makes it harder for Ivory Homes to show up.
It does.
It doesn't make sense for them to come and buy 4 acres from somebody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Having said that about Ivory Homes, I think that if we don't make some accommodation like Mark is suggesting, then sooner or later, somebody with a high-powered lawyer is gonna come in and do exactly that. I think that it would be far better for us to accommodate people who want to have their kids move in or have their kids take over and have them move to another place like Mark has described, than to have, I mean, Ivory tends to be one of the more reputable home builders. I have worked for a lot of subdividing home builders, and some are not very reputable, and they do have the deep pockets to pay for attorneys. And I think the town should be careful about setting ourselves up to be caught in that particular trap. I agree with Mark. I think that it would be very well worth it to do some sort of a compromise that keeps the aesthetics and the beauty without being told by a judge, you're done.
How do you feel about your drinking water being polluted from too many septic tanks?
I don't know the answer to that, Kim. I would have to look at the specific at the time.
yeah, it's a problem, definitely.
A few years ago, Robin Pearson wanted to put in a sewage system all through Daniels and all through Charleston, and Robin Pearson got told where it was. I think we have to look at that as each one as we go through. I don't think that pristine water is something to just write off. And I think there's ways that people would have to, and I don't know, I can't outguess what's gonna happen. We'd have to look at each one individually.
Yeah, well, and not everybody's on the water system either. 200, roughly 200 people on the water system, and there's 1,000 residents, so.
I'm sure glad I got a well drilled on my property before it was 300,000.
Yes,
I'd have to sell my property to get that.
yes. It makes a water hookup not look bad at all.
Yeah.
Have you priced water hookups?
Yes,
They're as much as what I paid for a well.
yes.
Unbelievable.
Yep,
I was shocked.
we're at 10,000 now, here in Daniel.
Oh, no. You're only halfway there.
Oh, we're not even close to what it cost you, if you just go up your road a little ways.
Yeah, it's double that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it's,
by the time you add in the Storm Haven situation, good trouble.
Yeah. At 300,000, that would happen real fast.
yeah. And see, and those are things they couldn't qualify for if the town didn't own it. They didn't qualify for those grants. Those monies from the water, so.
Well, we're part of the planning commission. We are those who are supposed to think ahead. And Mark, I think that's well done. I think that you're thinking ahead, and I think we all need to do that.
I go to a lot of these growing communities in the Salt Lake and Utah County and all the surrounding counties and just like, holy cow, what's happening? It's coming our way, I see it all the time.
It's coming,
I
yeah.
just like to keep a, what would you call it, a verbal discussion open with our planning commission to see what we can do and not just wait for it to happen.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I feel like that we do wait for some things to happen and
Because it's still peaceful, it's nice. It's just gonna start taking a half an hour longer to get here from anywhere else.
Come anywhere.
That's true.
Well, that Anderson property next to me, I split it, it's right at both sides of me. Those guys are looking, they're looking to subdivide on that. And they are, because they just told Savies that they won't give them, they've been giving them 10-year leases and they won't give them, so,
How many acres is it?
it's 14 on one side of me, and I can't remember what the other side is to the south. I don't remember how big that one is.
Talking Joyce Anderson?
No.
Joyce's is already.
It was more, yeah, Joyce's has already got those long splits on it, right? And then,
Still wouldn't be filled, that's.
yeah, I don't know, it's Larry's kids. I just know Larry and Morse, and I don't know what the kids' names are. They were living on them.
Haven't seen that one yet.
No, it's, I can tell, when he started talking about it, I started thinking of options to diffuse that a little bit, but it's coming.
5 acres is better than the alternative at this point, but something that, I don't know how we go about it.
Well, we direct the growth, I mean, that's what our job is to direct that growth. We are 3 council members away from the whole new zone. Only takes 3 council members.
From a whole new zone, is that what you
So
said?
a whole new zone could be zoned out.
3 council members to vote one way versus what we're
Change the
voting right
zoning.
now.
Yep.
Well, there's been developers show up and they think they're in Heber, and they'll take a 10-acre parcel and put 42 homes on it. And they'll engineer it, design it, and then find out where they're in Daniel.
Well, that's what I
And then
think.
they leave,
They show up at Ryan's office and they says, oh, whoops,
and then they
wrong
leave.
side of the fence.
Now, how long can you keep that up? Or which side of that argument do you, or discussion do you want to be on? Maybe you're the one with the 10 acres, would like to get $4 million.
Well,
for those homes.
everybody wants a payday. I mean, that's the whole Northfield discussion, right?
The thing that needs to be discussed is the county is taxing, because 5 acres doesn't qualify for Greenbelt. It's taxing the properties if it can be subdivided. And so that's going to push that.
Yeah.
Because look, I'm paying $10,000 a year in taxes on this property that's being valued as if it can be subdivided, not as if it's a single piece that cannot be subdivided. And so it may be that a bunch of residents are gonna have to get together and go down and have a discussion with the county on the taxes. I don't know. That's
That
just
won't
kinda-
go good, I did that.
Oh, I know, I mean, it's,
With a bunch or just
What
yourself?
what did I tell
For
you?
me,
Good luck
there
with
was
that.
like 8 people over there and me.
yeah,
I'll go with you, because I fall in that same problem.
They said, are we intimidating? I said, no, you got the wrong guy if you're trying to intimidate me.
Well, but things do tend to flow in a certain direction when you're dealing with that kind of activity.
Yeah,
Very rarely does it favor those who are asking to have it changed.
yep, but it will take action by the residents, as everything does. Okay, motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I have a motion, a second? 2 or 3 seconds. Very good.
Second, third, fourth, and fifth.
All in favor? Okay, we stand adjourned till our next meeting. Thank you.
All right, well, Brent, welcome to the planning commission.
Yeah.